gonna die. Go too fast. I'm taking 3.
I'm going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your 2?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we are going to take a look at some ranked battles. Yes, in the Kutzhof, and we are on neighbors. Now, they're tragic. These are going to be some tragic battles, and if you recall from yesterday's video, I had mentioned, do the video, blah blah, get some, then get some ranked battles in. So I was all excited, had a great supper, feeling accomplished, because got a job now, so I got things to do during the day instead of play ships all day and make videos. But feeling great. So jump into my first battle. Looking at it here, neighbors. I'm thinking that the team composition was pretty good. I like the fact that there were only was only one destroyer on each side. I thought that was decent, even though I'm in a cruiser and the Kutzhof is a great destroyer killer. The problem with the Kutzhof and destroyers is that the Kutzhof doesn't have anything to detect the destroyers at further ranges. We have no plane, we have nothing. All we have is our, the base detection on whatever destroyer happens to be in front of us. So there's that. I mean, you do need to stay in a group, but still, if I can spot the destroyer, I can take the destroyer down, and usually it's going to be pretty easy to do that. So feeling pretty good about that. Now, number of battleships on the enemy team as well, right? We note a few of those. Wasn't too concerned about the enemy battleships because I'm pretty good in the Kutzhof with, dodging incoming shells and whatnot, but more importantly, trying to pay attention to the enemy and what the enemy's doing, right? Even in the opening engagement here, I don't know if it was this one, but normally I wait until the first enemy salvos are all on their way downrange already at one of my allies, right? That's not me, before I start opening fire, because as soon as I open up with the Kutzhof, I am going to be spotted. I do have a pretty good detection range on this thing. I think it's like 12.4 or something like that. So it's not too bad, but it's definitely not something that's going to allow me to, stealth fire or anything like that, or even, stealth torpedoes, because my torpedoes will only go 8 kilometers. So the whole objective here in these opening plays, and what I'm trying to do is spread around my damage. You'll notice I set fire to the North Carolina. It looks like the North Carolina is going to let that one burn. Okay, I'll switch over to the Bismarck here. Check on the North Carolina. He's still burning. Great. If I can get a fire set on the Bismarck, maybe then I can get back over to North Carolina and see what he's saying. But you got to keep in mind too, this early in the game, everyone basically has the repair rate now. So as soon as you set your first fire, you're going to need to keep the shots going in to make sure that the fire is actually going to stick. And then I might usually do switch to a different target, try and set that player on fire just to get everyone on fire. That's the goal here, especially when I do see a lot of battleships. The enemy team does have some cruisers. They've got an Thotgor, I believe. Now the Thotgor is a great cruiser, and it is a big threat to the Kutzhof here for a number of reasons. The Thotgor actually does have much better concealment than the Kutzhof if the Thotgor captain has it spec'd out for that. The Thotgor can then go ahead and fire stealth torpedoes and whatnot. The Thotgor, is it beefier than a Kutzhof? Maybe. The Thotgor obviously doesn't have the AA, but she does have the better torpedoes. Also has a heel, which does make it a little more interesting to take into battle, I think. But I still wouldn't trade her for the Kutzhof. I do really enjoy the rapid fire cannons and just spreading out this fire. Now the Thotgor can do this as well, but with the smoke, and you can see I'm utilizing my smoke here that the Kutzhof has, it doesn't guarantee you cover wherever you go, but you can break line of sight sometimes at some pretty important times, and really when it does count. So you can manage to do this pretty easily with the Kutzhof as long as you have your smoke ready to go whenever. Now on top of all this, again, the great AA of the ship itself. Fantastic AA. If a critter comes near me and I pop my defensive fire ability, those planes are going to go down. It's just going to happen. Anyway, my team has been moving around, kind of jockeying for position here. We did manage to cap a point. The enemy has a point, which is good. I'm thinking everything at this point looks to be going fantastic, doesn't it? Look at the damage on the enemy ships, right? I've really spread around my damage here amongst those enemy battleships, and my hope was that by doing this, my ally battleships would have an easier time just finishing off the enemy battleship, right? Because, you know, I'm not going for kills or anything like that. I'm going for damage in these ranked battles as my biggest concern. I want to do as much damage as I possibly can in the ship that I'm in. Because the damage equals kills and usually does equal victory. Unfortunately, in the 2 replays we're going to see today, that is not the case, and it really sucks. Anyway, we see the one enemy destroyer pop up over there, engaged with my allied destroyer. Now, I don't have great shots in that enemy destroyer, so I do make an error, I would say, by not putting at least something into the enemy destroyer. Instead, I went for a Tirpitz that was in reverse. It was questionable. We have the Amagi here once again. I'm going to try and set another fire to this Amagi. The shots I put in on the Tirpitz apparently did end up setting a fire, so that's fantastic. If we look at my damage counter, we can see that the damage is increasing, so I know that that fire is burning. So excellent. Maybe we'll get a bit more damage done to that Tirpitz. In the meantime, I'm going to try and get some damage done here to the enemy Amagi. For the most part, I mean, I have been staying trying to stay, you know, further out. I'm not going to get, I'm not just going to run away, obviously, and try to go at max range, but I'm not going to get very close, and I don't want to get very close. It's dangerous, especially like a battleship like the Amagi. The Amagi is an excellent battleship. Fantastic battleship, and she can destroy the Kutov in just one ball. I mean, she just has to look at me and I could die, especially at these ranges too. The Amagi is really accurate, so it's not it wouldn't work out well for me. So I am trying to stay as far away as I possibly can while still being a major contributor to the battle. We can see some enemy battleships here hiding behind the island, right? And they're hiding because they have very little health. They're probably waiting for a repair or something like that. Little do they know, I can still actually fire over this island. I can't see the enemy ship, but if I just pepper the area with shells, I should be able to hit him or will hit the player, and maybe even set the player on fire. Now we can kind of get a sense of where the player is going, and I am in the meantime trying to get myself into a position to deal with the enemy destroyer, because you can see my allied destroyer, who I thought was going to, you know, deal with that enemy destroyer, just wasn't able to do so, and it's not my allied destroyer's fault. I'll point that out right now, right? Different ships, and it just wouldn't be. So allied Tirpitz goes over, and I figure, all right, the Tirpitz will go from one side, I will come from the other side, we will take out this enemy destroyer, if the enemy destroyer is even alive by the time I get over there. Figure things, you know, probably how it's going to go. So there we go. We launch off our torpedoes. Turns out the enemy destroyer is going to charge right at me. Very, very close, the Lo Yang is, so just immediately start putting shots into this player. And, you know, we're going to get him down here. Now, in the meantime, though, we did lose a battleship. He's gone, which was a little surprising. But, I mean, to the same token, one of the enemy cruisers is gone. So, 1 for 1, but enemy cruiser, right? Is it really worth it at the end of the day for our battleship? But still, whatever. Get myself into a little jam here. Didn't want to end up grounding myself. We see the Tirpitz off in the distance, so I'm going to continue to fire in on that Tirpitz and hopefully set some more fires, of course. Maybe even get another kill, who knows. In the meantime, though, I am going to still continue to stay over here around B. I wanted to protect B from any sort of enemy push or try to take it. I mean, the enemy destroyer is gone, so that's not too big of a deal. But we lost another battleship, yes. So that is fairly tragic. And if we look at the mini map, oh my team, oh people, it's not good. It's not good. I mean, I have a battleship behind me, and that's good, I suppose, right? At least I have some support here with me, but you can't just run away in team battles. It just isn't. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I mean, granted, yeah, my aircraft carrier, you know, is over there, but the aircraft carrier too could be a little little better positioned, I think, especially considering now that the enemy our aircraft carrier has some enemies to deal with. Anyway, continuing to set fire and continuing to do damage to the enemy team here. I'm trying to hold it together, right? We are down a few ships, but the ships that the enemy has are pretty close to dying. So if we can just finish off these enemy ships and some nice hits there from one of my allied battleships, it could happen. We get a Witherer medal, and I don't know from what ally or from what enemy ship that was. Maybe the North Carolina. And we see some more enemy battleships off in the distance. One of them's on pretty low health, so we're immediately going to start firing into the Bismarck here, and hopefully we can set the player on fire. There we go. There's a few fires. Looks like the player just put them out. We're going to try and keep raining down these shots and get this player gone. Pretty important that we do get the player gone, especially considering, the ships that are remaining right now are tied, so, we've lost an equal amount of ships as to the enemy team, so if we can just get the player gone, this would go a long way to help us out. Now, the fires are actually burning, but you'll notice as well that the enemy Bismarck is also healing during all of this, so healing through the fires, so that kind of sucks. Now, I'm going to switch over, and I'm going to start shooting at the enemy Tirpitz, because I figured the Bismarck was done. That's probably another mistake I made on my behalf, but I just got myself a high caliber, so I was thinking, yeah, it's pretty good. But, things are it's hectic. We only have 3 allied ships remaining now, so things aren't so great. But maybe we can still pull this off, because if we take a look, I do still have an allied battleship who's on about half health, which is more health than both of those enemy battleships. So I figured, yeah, this is great. Plus, my allied battleship here can also start engaging some more of the enemies, right? So we still do have an enemy Thotgor to deal with on the enemy team here, and if my allied battleship can do something about that player, that would be fantastic. Turning around and trying to get myself into position as well to support my allied battleship here, and to continue the Tirpitz, keep that player on fire. If we see off in the distance, the stupid Bismarck. I should have finished him off. It was my mistake. The Amagi. Yeah, the Amagi, not the Thotgor. But anyway, the Bismarck. I really should have finished that player off. God. But anyway. I don't want to get all worked up about it again. I was pretty distressed during this battle. There we go. Our aircraft carrier gets a nice kill and finishes off the Tirpitz, so that's fantastic. We still do have the 3 enemy ships to deal with. Our aircraft carrier is gone, but remember, if you select a command for your planes before you die, they'll still carry it out even if you die. We just need to focus down this enemy Amagi. If we can focus down the enemy Amagi, we might buy ourselves a bit of time here to get ourselves over there to kill that damned Bismarck. Dirty Bismarck. But anyway, Amagi's over there. I'm on pretty low health, but I'm still feeling pretty good. I mean, my Bismarck, a little under half health here. The Amagi just took a shot at me, so that's great, because now the Amagi won't be firing at my allied Bismarck, and I'm really hoping for my allied Bismarck to get in there, like shotgun the hell out of that Amagi and just, I don't know, citadel him and get him down. That's what we need to win this, because we still do have an enemy aircraft carrier to deal with, right? So we need to get into the cap, stop the cap, kill the Amagi, kill the bloody Bismarck, and then hopefully, while we're hunting down the enemy aircraft carrier, we can claim victory. Hopefully, that's the plan that was going through my mind here. what I had all worked out for me and my Bismarck friend here. Unfortunately, as we did just see, my allied Bismarck just pushed right beyond the little plateau there, headland, whatever, took a huge hit, lost a lot of his health, and then quickly died. It was at this point in the battle where I knew all hope was lost. It was all over. I mean, what am I going to do here, right? So I am not going to give up. Not going to give up, and even though, it's ranked battles, and I think it's because it's ranked battles, it just gets so frustrating, but at the very least, I'm not going to lose a star, because obviously I'm going to be top of the team here. But anyway, I'm not going to run away. I am going to try and get in here and contest this cap and stop the damn cap. Problem is, the Imagi is right there. And you can see that I thought by opening up the distance from the island, right, I'm trying to use that island as cover, just the little nub there, as much as I can. Trying to use it as cover. In order to do that, I have to find that magic range in between the island and the enemy ship, but I don't know where the enemy Imagi is, so I'm kind of guessing as to where the player might be at this time. And I figure that probably is going to be headed, you know, towards the east, maybe, I don't know, northeast, up in that direction. So, yeah, figured that that was going to happen. Now, we have some enemy planes coming in. Now, these enemy planes could definitely kill me. So I popped the defensive fire, and in the meantime, I also popped my smoke because I freaked out at the same time. But whatever, I make quick work of these enemy planes. They're all shot down, so I don't need to worry about them. We've got some more groups of enemy planes coming in as well, but again, as long as you have them targeted, just control-click on them. It'll focus fire at my AA, and it really does work them over. You can see that, 5 of them gone, and I'm just sort of maneuvering around because I know the Imagi is there. No. The Imagi and Bismarck were smarter than our team, and they chose to run away, let the points count up, and they would win. Whatever. It was still a pretty good game. 140,000 damage dealt. Got the high caliber. Did a witherer. I got the 1 kill. 546,000 credits earned. Of course, because it's a Kutov. But yeah, defeat. At the very least, though, I do enjoy that I didn't lose my star. I'm still sitting at rank 14. I actually... after this, I think I played like 4 more battles, and all were defeats. All 3 of them were defeats, and 3 of them were a defeat where I was atop the team, didn't lose stars. 1 was a defeat where I did lose a star, and that's where I stopped last night. Said, no, that is enough of team battles. So, moving into our next clip, you can see that we are, again, in ranked battles, and again in the Kutov. I really do enjoy the Kutov. It's one hell of a cruiser. And not surprising, obviously, though, because it's Russian. Always like to confirm with the team as to where we're going, you know, just to make sure that everyone's on board, that we're all going to the same spot. In ranked battles, coordination is simple as that. As long as you have, as long as you talk to someone or something in the chat there at the beginning to say, hey, look, where are we going? And everyone's like B, and it's like, all right, we're all going B. You just need your situational awareness, and you can pretty much just sort of coordinate that way with the enemy or with your allies. And it really is all about your situational awareness. It's so important. You need to keep an eye on the minimap, on what your ship is doing, on what your allies are doing, and what the enemy is doing. So there's a lot of things to keep track of, and you just have to keep track of it in order for anything to happen. So immediately we start seeing some enemies pop up, and you can see here at least I did wait for my allied Bismarck there to put out a salvo, and for the enemies to start shooting at that, or my ally, before I shot my guns. Now, why I do this again is to make sure that the first incoming salvos aren't targeting me, and second of all, so that, you know, the enemies are already in a reload by the time my shots are on their way to them, and hopefully they are going to focus in on one of my allies. Now, the other hope there is that the ally that the enemies focus on won't die. We do decide to go to B. Now the enemy is going A, and I don't know if B was the best call or if it's just the way the map is, but it seems as though we are coming under heavy fire as we get over here to B. Like, we are just being strafed to hell. And I really didn't expect it. I didn't think that it was going to be this bad, I guess, on the way over. It wasn't bad for me, but, I mean, take a look at my allied Bismarck there. Lost about a quarter of his health already, and we haven't even started capping a zone yet, so it's pretty significant. Anyway, we are going to continue along to get into the cap, or at least get closer in. I mean, right now, we know that the majority of the enemy team is over there on the west side of the map. So we do have a bit of room to maneuver over here on the east, and this is a good thing. You want the room to maneuver if you're in a battleship or a cruiser, so that you can get the shots off that you need to get off, right, that are the most opportune. So I'm going to pop my smoke right here. I'm just going to sit in my smoke for a little while, and we're going to set some battleships on fire. That's my objective here. And it works out pretty well. I do have an island covering me, and I wanted the island there to cover me a little bit just in case I do lose track of time and forget that my smoke runs out. You can see as well that I am struggling to hit the enemy battleship there, so still trying to pretty good with the with aiming with the Kutsov. It's just I don't know. Sometimes the way the enemy ships are moving, I just can't seem to get in. Managed to set one fire to this enemy battleship here. We set another fire, but because the enemy player used his repair so quickly, that fire didn't stick either. So we'll have to revisit that Bismarck there and set that player on fire again. Still in the smoke, we saw an enemy cruiser pop up there, and it looked like that enemy cruiser, it's a Hipper, I believe, was going to take a torp. I'm curious to know. I haven't tried the Hipper, but as many of you may know, I'm a huge fan of the Hipper. The Hipper has its flaws, but it is an amazing cruiser. But I'm curious to know how well it would do in a ranked battle, if any of you have taken out your Hipper in the ranked battle and how it does. Maybe I'll take mine out. I don't know. It's hard to pull away from from the HE monster that is the Kutsov, but we'll see. We'll see. So you can see my team is doing a pretty good job of focusing in on the enemy cruiser here, but we will notice that one of my allied battleships has died. Now this allied battleship, it really sucked that player decided to die. It wasn't so great. And I say decide to die because it was very early on. The player charged forward. He made the choice. That was a choice. It was a wrong choice, but he made it. And so now instantly we're down one battleship, so this is not great. So really important now more than ever that we even up the odds here and try and take down an enemy battleship. Somehow, some way, needs to go. So I'm going to land, hopefully land some more shots in on that enemy battleship over there, set the player on fire once more. We take a look over at the point that the enemy has, and we see two more battleships floating around, and then we'll also notice an enemy Mogami over there as well, yes. So I'm not really too sure what to do anymore, and probably my fault on this end. Because, I didn't know, should I be going after the Mogami? Because it does look like the Mogami might threaten our cap, and it's like, well, no, we've got lots of allies here at our cap. Should I just, try and push harder onto their cap and just be more aggressive with the damage I'm dealing out? I wasn't sure what to do, and I sort of struggled in this moment. And it didn't work out so great. For my team, anyway, you'll notice that we did lose another cruiser, and that's not great. So now it is coming down to me to provide, the HE support to our battleships here. And we did just see one of my allied battleships eat a number of torpedoes from the bloody Mogami. Yes, the Mogami. Continue to fire in shots here on the enemy battleship and continue to set the player on fire, which is good. We'll notice as well that one of my battleships is now going to die. There he goes. Fantastic. So, I don't know how long it was. It wasn't very long at all. I'm only at 27,000 damage so far. And we have lost 3 of our ships. Gone. Yeah. And it is pretty tragic. And disappointing. I really wanted to win. But now, at this point in the battle, right, I'm looking at things, it's pretty much over. We are going to lose. I'm still going to do whatever the hell I possibly can to get the victory. But more importantly, really need to start doing some things here so that I can get top of the team list and not lose my star. That is another thing that I've started doing in ranked battles, and I don't know if it's good or bad, but evaluate the situation, take a look at it. Looks like we're going to lose, chances are we're going to lose, and instantly start trying to, well, I guess it's good for the team, but start trying to just dish out damage, cap points, do whatever I possibly can to make sure that I'm top of the list. It might stave off defeat sometimes, but not always. Not always. So we're being charged right now by an enemy battleship. Not too big of a deal. I am concealed in my smoke here, so I don't really have to worry about the player seeing me. I just need to concern myself with the smoke running out. I don't want the smoke to run out. And if I manage to leave the smoke early enough, another nice thing about it, if I don't leave just when the smoke leaves, if I leave when the smoke's still up for a little while, I can turn into the smoke, use the smoke as cover, and get away from the enemy without the enemy seeing me. They might catch glimpses, but they're not going to have a full lock on the whole time. So we launch our torpedoes off at the enemy battleship over there. We set another fire to the enemy battleship, and hopefully The torpedoes will find their mark, the fires will burn, and that player will be gone, and then maybe we can take down this enemy over here and start evening up the battle a little here, because we gotta do something, right? Enemy battleship starts firing in. We can see the smoke that I have behind me is long gone, so it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, but whatever. Still managed to get away with the majority of my hit points. Take a look back at my torpedoes, looking pretty good for a few hits anyway. So we get 1 and 2, and then we can see some allied torpedoes go in there as well and take more damage and deal more damage out to the enemy battleship. And there we go, player down. Fantastic. Alright, so we need to choose another enemy to take out. We see the enemy destroyer, so this is a prime target for me to deal with, but I don't have any shots in the enemy destroyer, so we'll put some shots out onto the enemy battleship here. Again, trying to set a fire, seeing what we can do. Maybe spread out some more of this damage here. We see the enemy destroyer coming out from concealment, so immediately we are going to try and get some shots in. Managed to land a few, which isn't too bad. We're going to try and keep the fire up here, but unfortunately I do have an island coming up in front of me. With the enemy battleship back there in the distance and the fact that my smoke is on cooldown, I didn't want to stop. It just made sense not wanting to stop. However, I do have to turn and maneuver to get around this bloody island so I can continue to have put some shots into the enemy destroyer, and then enemy destroyer pops out of sight, so damn. Going to continue to set fires to this enemy battleship over here. We've already got one burning on the stern there. Maybe we can get another one, hopefully anyway, before the player repairs all the damage, or rather repairs the fire and potentially repairs some of the damage. Putting the ship into a reverse, because we do note that the enemy does still have quite a significant ship advantage over us, right? And right now we can only see the one enemy battleship. Pop my smoke once again because I know that there are enemy ships on the port side of the ship who are behind me, who will fire in on me, but I'm focusing in on this enemy battleship for now. Only 2 players remaining on my team, myself and one of my enemy allied battleships. At least I got a high caliber. Once I get the high caliber, it pretty much assures that I'm going to get top of the team. I'm not going to lose my star, but man, this sucked. I couldn't believe it. To do it twice, because I guess we did 140 last game. I think I'm going to do about 139 this game. The next game I played, I think I did about 110,000 damage for another high caliber. Still lost that one, of course. And then the one, okay. So I just couldn't believe that, basically 3 battles in a row doing over 100,000 damage, and it's going to be a loss. Just couldn't believe it. But whatever. That's the allure of ranked battles, I suppose. If you want to call it that. You never know what your team is going to hold. And there are some times when you get into that ranked battle and you look at your team and you think, yes, this is good, we are going to win. And whether it's because you recognize names on your team or because of the team composition or the chat that's happening, those times are amazing. But it does seem to happen a little often where it's just like, no, no. Anyway, my allied battleship is gone. I'm going to try and kill that battleship. Well, my allied battleship got the kill, so whatever. That's great. Shots come in from the enemy and take me out. Battle is over, and we lose again. But, saving grace in all of this, of course, mentioned it before, we don't lose any stars anymore, which is fantastic. So 139,000 damage dealt, 444,000 credits earned. Top of the team on my side anyway. And then walk away with 333,000 credits. I have to say that after those ranked battles yesterday, even though they're all defeats, I did get quite a bit of money, which is not too bad at all. Anyway, that is today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you are not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.